one of the learning and academic skills under syllabus code SBL102. I go by the name of Kubeto Munisi, and my fellow group members are Michelle Molashua, Abuya Hasibono, Hope Mokoti, Tapo Gumba, and lastly we have Kesawa Bakabusu. Our presentation will be based on the stages of research writing, which include topic, introduction, research problems, objectives, hypothesis, literature review, research design, discussion, conclusion, and lastly behavior recommendations. Thank you. Over to Michelle, who will be going through the topic and introduction.
Good day, everyone. So today I'll be taking you through the topic and introduction. What is a topic? A topic is a specific subject that the researcher focuses on in depth. What does a good research topic look like? It should be clear and easy to understand. It should be specific by focusing enough on depth research, and it should be relevant by addressing a current issue or gap in knowledge. It should be feasible enough to be researchable within time and resources. An example of a good research topic: the effect of corporate social responsibility on firm performance, evidence from the US retail industry. The next step is introduction. What is an introduction? An introduction is the opening of your writing, and it introduces the topic and draws attention. How does a good introduction look? It should start with a book. A book simply means an interesting fact or question. It should also provide background by briefly explaining your topic. It should end with a thesis. And an example of our introduction: the impact of innovation on firm performance, a research agenda. This is an example. Our book is the global competition and happy technological change mark innovation essential for firms to stay competitive and strive in dynamic markets. Thesis: this paper reviews the relationship between innovation and firm performance, proposing a framework of different types of innovation, product, process, and organizational effect business success. Thank my colleague, Hope.
I'll be taking you through the objectives. Objectives are actionable targets that need to be achieved within a smaller time frame. This can include within a year or 6 months. Characteristics of objectives: time bound, which means they need to be made in a specific time frame. Social sanction, because they need to be able to help the community. Dynamic, they can be replaced. Long and short term, it's self-explanatory. And then based on vision and the mission statements of whatever business or anything that you are targeting for. And then we'll be going through the process of setting objectives. When you are setting objectives, it's important to think about how your goals will benefit you and your life projects, and what it will take to fulfill them. These are questions that you should often ask yourself when you're setting objectives. What do you want to achieve? How do you want to achieve your goals? And at what time and date do you wish to have these actions be fulfilled? And why do you want them to be fulfilled? Thank you for listening to my presentation. I'll be presenting the research problem of our assignment. A research problem is a specific difficulty, issue, or gap in knowledge that promotes the need for an investigation. It reflects the purpose of our assignment, or just the research in general. And it's the purpose of the research and aims to answer the questions that we are needed to ask, to be asked about or answered to during the research. And then I'll be going through the types of research problems. These are only some of them, it's not all of them, but we'll first start with theoretical. A theoretical research problem focuses on new ideas. Basically, it investigates new topics that not many people usually talk about, or if they do, they are new and yes. And then there's comparative research problem, which is basically it compares two accounts together and comes to one conclusion at the end. And then there's exploratory research problem, which basically it's a deep level type of research. You have to go through intricate capture the ideas and stuff. And then there is descriptive. Descriptive is a lot more similar to explorative, except it's more used when being talked about new trends. And then I'll be taking you through the steps to create a research problem. Basically, the first one is to look through any topic. It should be broad because it's a topic, obviously. Next, you follow through by looking into literature reviews, articles, reports, and so on, in order to be able to capture what the problem is really about. Because there are many problems. When you start with the broader topic, it can be anything such as climate change. And then when you get here, we're looking through the different problems that come with climate change because there are lots. There is drought, there is rising in global temperatures, and so on. So then, as you go down, you narrow down the problems to a specific one, such as the rising global temperatures. Next, you have to develop specific and clear research problems in order to understand where the research questions, in order to understand what the research problem really is. For example, that earlier example that I gave of with the topic being climate change, and then one of the problems that you can identify here could be the rising global temperatures. The specific one could be how do businesses prevent the issue of the rising global changes from majorly affecting their businesses or production. And then the last one is to make sure that the research is attainable. And yes, thank you for listening to the part of my presentation. I will be handing it to my colleague, Isalba.
I'll be presenting on two important parts in research writing, namely the hypothesis and big picture review. Starting with the hypothesis. A hypothesis is a possible answer to a research question, basically the one that can be tested through experiments and or observation. A hypothesis should reflect three events, and theories. It also guides direction of study by linking the independent variable, which is what the researcher can control, and dependent variable, which is what the researcher can measure. When developing a hypothesis, researchers first identify a clear, sound, and testable question. Then they review existing studies about it to gain background knowledge. With the information they have acquired, they then should be able to form an initial idea from it. With the initial idea that they came up with, they should be able to refine it to be more specific and measurable. And finally, then they express it in an if or then format. Moving on to literature review, a literature review is basically a piece of writing demonstrating knowledge and understanding of a specific topic. Its main purpose is to show understanding of a certain topic and identify gaps in your research. When developing a literature review, researchers first find a defined topic to investigate. Then they gather credible sources like journals, articles, and books. In the information they have acquired, they have to identify themes, debates, and or gaps to find out everything that would be missing in there. After that the information is presented either thematically, chronologically, or methodologically. Then the review is presented in three main parts, mainly an introduction in the body discussing the key findings, and lastly the conclusion, highlighting the main insights and their importance. In conclusion, a hypothesis gives direction, a review gives foundation of what other scholars have already discovered. Thank you. Over to Ashan to take you through the research design and discussion.
Allow me to introduce to a research design. A research design, it outlines how data is collected and analyzed. So the importance of writing a research is that it is essential for ensuring validity and reliability of the findings. Also, it involves several key components of research design, which are very important when writing a research design. This includes research This includes research questions, study populations, data collection methods, and data analysis plan. So, research questions, it defines the purpose of research study. So, also the study population, it helps you to identify the population from which the sample will be drawn. Also, data collection methods, it also involves the procedures of collecting data. Lastly but not least, how data is interpreted. Then another stage of research writing is discussion. So the key elements of discussion is to interpret and analyze findings and relate them to literature. Also, to explain the implications and their findings. Also, it helps to suggest future application, to acknowledge limitations and biases, ensuring that there will be no errors. The purpose of discussion, it provides an insight and understanding of the topic. It highlights the importance of the study. The key components of a discussion, meaning that what makes up discussion, the summary of the findings, outline what was covered, interpretation, to find the importance of the findings and their meanings. Then we have comparison with literature, how results align with the previous studies. Implications, here discuss implications for theory or practice. Limitations, you recognize validity. Lastly, recommendation. Thank you, that was my presentation. Followed will be my colleague Tefo to take you on recommendations and conclusions.
So today I'm going to be taking you through conclusion. Conclusion is the summary of the main points of the research. How to write conclusion. Conclusion should be clear and concise, and in simple language. It should indicate opportunity for future research, problems to avoid when doing conclusion. Failure to be concise, failure to comment on large or more significant issues. Failure to meet the objectives of the research. The importance of conclusion. Presenting the last word on issues raised offers a chance to leave an everlasting impression. Summarize the thoughts and convey the larger implication of the study. Following will be the recommendation. Recommendation is a statement that suggests action, solution, and improvements on the research findings. There are research recommendations which is the methodology, topic, article, and collaboration recommendation. We have the characteristics of a recommendation which are actionable, evidence-based, effectively communicated, and contextual. How to write a recommendation? We must understand the research question, review existing literature, consider research methods used, consider limitation and ethical considerations, justify your recommendations, summarize recommendations, tailor your recommendations according to readers, and provide specific suggestions. Thank you.